Oh, money. Man with it's like this.
Yeah, just hold it like that. Cassie will verify with us that if she can hear us once we go live. So we're gonna go live now. Our mics are hot, so we're gonna be live. So let's go start here. Welcome everyone. We're here at Adventures in WeCon Live 2023. So you have me, Amani Roberts, to my far, far right. Introduce who's that there?
Mandy Graziano.
Yes. And then we have our first guest today. Manny, introduce our first guest because I have his book with me right here.
His book. So we have Tim Mulligan, who is a chief HR officer by trade, but Tim is embarking on a whole next level Tim point 2.0 in his life of writing books and writing plays and converting books into graphic novels. I mean, I think you should just introduce yourself. Like, this is Tim Mulligan.
Thanks, Mandy. Yeah, my name's Tim Mulligan. I'm happy to be your guest today.
We loved having you. So Tim just did a breakout, a lab for us, and he did a lab on unleashing your creativity during tough times. So Tim, do you just want to tell us a little bit about what that was? It was very well attended and very well received.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been in the HR field for 25 years now, and a lot of it was in hospitality. So it was great to talk to this group today. But my talk today was more about how I took such a potentially dark time as the pandemic and used it in a positive to do things I never thought I would do and kind of cross some things off my bucket list. One being writing my first play ever, and the other writing my first cookbook ever. And both I've made myself finish. They got done, they got published, they got staged. And I was here to tell that story of kind of, taking a situation that could be a dark time and turning it into a positive to do something good with your life.
And I think something inspirational, like one of my takeaways, I actually sat in the session, and one of my takeaways from Tim's session was that he's embarking on this Tim 2.0, and he has a whole new mindset of saying yes to things and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So can you just expand on that, because I that was a really huge takeaway for a lot of people in that session.
Yeah, I mean, what I talked about was, I'm 55 years old, and I thought I was in the career that I have been in for a long time, and I could just kind of coast through it and to retirement. But I think it was this time of being at home and having so much time on my hands to try to use that for a positive, and so kind of changing my outlook on life and coming out of the pandemic and the world we were living in, and I'm much more energized. I changed the city I lived in. I changed my career. The company I took a move to Los Angeles, and I'm in a world that I've never thought I'd be in, which is the creator economy, which is the company I work for. It's called Ben Labs. Um, but I also, like I said, wrote a book and wrote a play, and I have a graphic novel that's coming out, and I've just really taken this time to kind of get fired up. And you call it Tim 2.0. I love that. I just see it as the
You're
next.
welcome.
I tell people that I know that I'm not slowing down. I feel like I'm kind of just starting my career, though I've been in the same type of career for 25 years now.
What was the inspiration behind writing the book, and what was maybe one thing you learned about yourself writing the book?
Well, I'm not a professional chef. I'm a home cook. I've been cooking since I was a kid, and I am a curator of recipes. And I like to try to create things that are easy to make. I have two kids. I've been raising two kids for years. I make dinner for them every night. I work full time. I'm on boards. I'm very busy, but yet I make dinner every night. And I host parties on the weekends, and I cook all of our holiday meals. And everyone knows that, Tim loves to cook and he'll like to bring people over. So, and I've been collecting these recipes and ideas for my whole life. So I thought during this pandemic, this is a good time for me to take all these curated recipes and put together a guide for folks who are like me, who are not trained chefs, but love to cook. I want to make good food that's fast, easy to do. And these are tried and true recipes that I have tweaked, curated, and honed since as far back as I can remember. So I wanted to share them with others.
Okay, okay. And tell us about the graphic novel. What's the subject of the graphic novel? What's
Well,
going to happen?
so during the pandemic, I had two things on my bucket list I wanted to do. The first was actually write a play, and
Oh,
again, remember I have a day job, so I work full time all day. But while I was doing it virtually, I had time on my hands. I thought I'm going to use this time wisely and smartly and productively, and I had this idea for a play in my head. I love plays, never written a play in my life. I literally got on in the internet and Googled how do you write a play, got the format, storyboarded it out, and I put this together. This play called Witchland that had a month long run in San Diego,
Hmm.
and now it's actually going to be going to New York. I just found out
Hmm.
off Broadway early in spring of next year. So the book the play was staged. The play is going to have a life. Hopefully, it's called Witchland. Now we're taking that. It's a scary play, a scary funny play based on my life and a true kind of chapter of my life. And we've actually now converting it into a graphic novel, which is the third kind of project that I'm embarking upon, which is super fun and super exciting.
Okay, I love it. I
A-
love it.
And
Go ahead.
I was super lucky to actually see Tim's play in the fall.
Oh,
It was spectacular.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I go to the theater a lot, but this was interactive and immersive. So the fact that it is going from San Diego and it's going to be New York City in the spring next year, I think it's just a huge accomplishment. When you set out to just send the script everywhere, is that what you call it? Is it the script? Is it the
Yeah,
how
it's
do you
all
call it?
that. Yeah.
When you send the screenplay or the script, when you send it out, like what is that process
Well,
like?
I'm
How do you
learning.
know who to send it
Like I
to?
said, I don't have a team. It's just me. I'm a
mhm.
full-time HR professional by day. So I've just done my own, just being crafty and being resourceful. Researched a bunch of theaters that, besides the theater that staged Backyard Renaissance staged my play in San Diego, and it did great for those 4 weeks. But once that's over, what next? So now I've just been kind of researching that on my own, learning it, and not taking a no as an answer, and being persistent and being kind of dogged. And I luckily a theater in New York bought a bit on that, and they came back and we're excited to stage. I think that the play, what's unique about it is it's scary. There's not a lot of scary plays out there. It's immersive. That's a trend right now,
Yeah.
and it's based on truth. And so I think I just got lucky with this, finding the right theater now twice to launch the play.
How have you? I like how Manny calls it Tim 2.0.
Me too.
But when we really dig down, that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
How have you had the courage to reinvent yourself at a more, as my students like to say, more seasoned age?
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
That season of
Well,
mine.
I'll say it. I'm 55. Like I said, I just, didn't have to do any of this. I could have just, I love my day job. I love being in human resources. But I found myself this year at this age being an empty nester for the first time,
Hmm.
finding extra time on my hands, and deciding to actually take a risk. Besides the creative endeavors like the cookbook and the play, and I'm writing more plays now, I still have my career, which is my day-to-day job. And I actually made a big jump during the pandemic and left my company in Seattle and jumped into a whole new industry for me based out of Los Angeles, which is the world of the creator economy. And to
Okay.
me, that's part of the story here is, as I go into the second half of my life and my career, to not rest on my laurels, to not close the door to risk taking, and to jump at these new adventures.
Yes,
Otherwise, there'll be a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas in my life, and I'm hoping to not have those.
definitely. Tell us, what job did you leave, and then what jobs, and tell us about all the kind of jobs you're doing now.
I mean, I've had a great HR career. I was with Starwood Hotels for many years.
Hmm.
That's how I met Mandy. Then I had the good fortune of serving as the chief HR officer for the San Diego Zoo for 13
Okay.
years.
Okay.
And I could have, that was a great, amazing job. I could have stayed there and retired as many people do. But I took a risk 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and went to work for Paul Allen up in Seattle, as the
Okay.
chief HR officer for him and his company Vulcan.
Hmm.
And I took my family, uprooted them, took that first big jump, that first big risk, and jumping into the technology world up in Seattle. And then just last year, I got this opportunity to move down to LA and Palm Springs, where I'm residing, and working for this new company. It's called Ben Labs.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
right in the heart of the creator economy, looking to be the center for creators and brands and consumers to all go and kind of meet in the middle with an AI tool that does all that. And to me, it's all just part of not resting on my laurels, taking risks, and not being afraid to say no and jump on a new endeavor. So I have the new career, and plus I have all these creative endeavors that I came out of the pandemic fired up and a whole new person after that.
What would you say, and then I'll come to you, Manny, for your next question. What would you say to people who are maybe looking at you like, I want to do what Tim does or what he did, but I'm scared and I'm worried about what could happen if it doesn't succeed?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm unique. I've had a good, interesting success with a couple of these projects. Like I told the group today, I didn't think the play would ever see the light of day.
Mm.
I didn't think the book would ever get published. I didn't think I'd maybe buy the book. I didn't think I'd be able to write another book. So I think just for me, it was the fact of getting it done and having something that's been weighing on me for years. I always wanted to write something. I want to get this creative side out. And just the fact that I got it done would have been probably enough for me. The
Right.
icing on the
Right.
cake is that people like it and it's kind of resonating and doing other things. So I think to answer your question, I don't know. I think the advice to me is, if there's things you've been wanting to do for a long time, that you just haven't ever done or been afraid to take the risk and do, if you can make the time in your life and the effort to do it, that's a great first step. And I think there's such a great peace and excitement that comes with that. If that project succeeds and goes to another level, then that's just even better.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think, Tim, over the years as an HR professional, you have seen so many great new employees rise to leadership, rise to whatever they're doing in their world. Like what do you think the secret sauce is, or what advice do you have for, and not even somebody who's 55 years old, like what advice do you have for anybody that's working in any environment right now, how to be a great employee, how to stay at a great job, and how to love what they're doing?
It's a great question. I think the one thing that I love about my life in HR is that I'm able to help early career talent. I love internship programs or like externship programs, management training programs. I love to find that employee who has a spark, who has a drive, has a love for the company or the industry, and to help, kind of foster that person into their career. So I think it's those go-getters who give it all, who aren't dialing it in, who aren't job hopping all the time, but finding someone who's really committed. And those are the folks that I resonate with. And I will then go out of my way to foster that person and bring them up. I saw people in the audience today that I hired, that I got visas for, that I took out of college. And that's something that I'm really proud of.
Well, I think we should share a little secret with everybody. Do you think?
We like secrets. We like secrets.
So, Tim is responsible for me getting a job in a hotel 24 years ago
Okay.
because
Okay.
I sent my resume, my very underqualified resume, all over the country. And the only person that would call me back was Tim
Well, I think
Mulligan.
that goes to what I was talking about is that you find someone with the drive and the excitement who's doggedly pursuing this career, then how can I not go out on a limb to help that person? And that was the case with Mandy. So yeah, so much to maybe other people's chagrin, we took a step from her. We moved her from Ohio and hired her, and look at her now. So yeah, that's a great success story for me.
And I will forever be grateful to you for
Thank you.
that. So
Yeah,
thank
thank
you,
you.
Tim.
What are some of your goals for this year? We're here in May. Where would you like to be in May 2024?
Well, I love my job. I've been in and it's a great place to be. Hopefully I'm still there. I think so. To answer your question, I think it's just continuing to grow and build as an HR leader. Creatively, though, I'm not giving up. I have another book coming out in September, my second cookbook.
Okay.
It's based
Okay.
on my first one, A Perfect 10. It's more party editions of party themes and party menus. That'll come out in September. As I mentioned, my play is going to get staged in New York in April. So hopefully in May of next year, I will be coming off of a real high and a success with the play.
Yes. Okay.
The graphic novel is going to come out early in the year.
Busy.
And I'm already thinking, mapping my summer right now around new projects that hopefully will have some life down the road.
Okay. With everything that you have going on, how do you stay organized and not forget anything and keep everything straight? What tips do you have for the audience who might be watching?
It's a great question. People ask me all the time, how do you have time? I'm like, well, I do have time. Luckily, I do have the time on my hands to do this. My partner works. I have time on the weekends, but I carve out time and I stick to that schedule. I'm an empty nester for the first time this year. My kids are, off doing things.
Mhm.
So I'm taking my free time and turning it into creative free time. So for me, it's carving away. It's making myself sit down in front of the computer in a great environment, being on a schedule. I mean, it's not for everybody, but it works. It works for me. I mean, look at if I could do this 24 hours a day, I would do it, but I still carve out time for being a family person, for being a community person, being on boards, being great at my day job. But these new creative endeavors, I've found a way to weave them into my life and my schedule and stick with it and make the time for it.
Okay.
I just think that's the takeaway, right? He's committed to carving out time for stuff that matters to him. And I think we all could benefit from that too. So normally at this point, we normally plug one thing, but I feel like we're going to need an extra 45 minutes to plug everything. So just really quick, Tim Mulligan, buy his book. I have the book. I've cooked a bunch of recipes from it. It's called A Perfect 10 Cookbook, and the recipes are delicious. And then go see Witchland in New York. The tickets go on sale Halloween this year,
Halloween.
right?
Make a trip to New York. It's off Broadway.
Fun.
Playing. Opens up on April 5th, 2024.
And then your Instagram handle, because now he accidentally has an Instagram following, and he's a creator. So what's your Instagram handle for everybody to follow?
It's A Perfect 10 Cook, and it's full of recipes and blogs all the time.
Okay, and then the last thing is the new book that's coming out. What's the name of the new book? And it's coming out in September as well?
September, there'll be a Perfect 10 party edition, and then look for a Witchland graphic novel to come out early in the year, next year.
Awesome. We are so grateful that you're spending time with us.
Yeah,
and thanks for speaking at WeCon.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
I love WeCon.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Farrah. Great. We'll be back with our next guest. Hold tight really quickly.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp. Make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic. You. El professor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with two hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, slipping, speaking in tongues. Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. 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 Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. They claim to be who they ain't. Try to knock my hustle, they can't. I pull this burner out of my paint. Chop him up where he stank. They claim to be who they ain't. Try to knock my hustle, they can't. I pull this burner out of my paint. They claim to be who they ain't.
Is a sister organization to MPI, but we're really lucky because Annette used to be involved at an executive level at MPI. So to have her here to cross over is pretty awesome. Like, what made you decide? I know we asked, and you said yes quickly, which we appreciate. Like, what? Why was it important for you to be here as our closing speaker and to do the crossover event with us?
Well, for me, the way I regard professional associations in our
Mhm.
space is that we're all better together. So, we have 30 associations in the business event space. And when you're thinking about a new person entering our industry, that's really fragmented and really confusing. And so my whole attitude, both when I was at MPI as chief revenue officer and now I'm CEO of Site, is how do we partner better together? So the whole business events industry wins. This is whether we're sharing education or we're sharing opportunities like, hey, I'll promote your event and you promote mine, or just doing even promotions for each other to have memberships together. It just doesn't make sense for us to keep these things separate. So that's my whole spirit, is better
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Love your spirit.
Yes, I have to compliment you that because a lot of times it's been kind of separate in silos or whatever, and you're choosing to kind of cross over and blend. So we appreciate that. That's really complimentary. So thank you for that. Of course. Yes, of course.
Hear all your thoughts.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All the time
We
you
can
want.
all the time you want.
Associations. I think it's a little old school to think about that the only value proposition for associations is the number of members you have. You're going to live and die by that metric. Oh, we're 10% up this year. Oh, we're 10% down this year.
Yeah.
So I really prefer to think of it as a community. We are the business events community, and you're going to find the group that resonates with you based on your needs. So if we're all one big community and, the local chapter of MPI is your people, then go in and just join that chapter, get all in with that. Maybe the local event of local chapter of Site is more your people for whatever reason. Then choose that one, or it's PCMA. So I
Right.
just feel like it's a different mentality, that it's the value proposition for me as an executive in an association is growing the brand of business events globally. And sometimes that means you're going to join Site. Sometimes you may never join Site, but doesn't mean that we can't be a valuable resource to those people.
And I know you said something one time that really stuck out in my head, and it was about our importance in this industry to be face to face and the value that we have on the general human condition. So can you expand on that? Because you said it stuck with me, and I would just love for everybody to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. So, I've been in a lot of different seats in this industry, and there's a lot of parts. Joe Martin.
Right.
Sure.
Mhm.
Staffing the bus at 5 a.m. or stuffing name badges. So
Yes.
if we equated the value of the work we do with the tactics and some of the operational work we've had to do, we would kind of lose our steam because we're not in it for the money.
Mhm.
So for me, it's back to that Simon Sinek is what's our why. And when I do research on like some of the stuff I'm going to talk today about is what's happening with the general human condition and how face-to-face engagement can solve those things, then that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me excited about staying in this industry, recruit others to this industry. It's like when you look at current stats about loneliness and isolation, and especially this virtual
Yeah.
hybrid workforce,
Yeah. Mhm.
people are really struggling out there. And you get them out of their offices, you give them a great thing like WeCon to come to, and we're in this beautiful setting like the desert, and their right brain is ignited.
Yes.
They're sharing energy from other people. You're laughing. You're beating things like isolation and depression by just being together. Humans were meant to be together.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's why it is a bigger why for me. I love that we're back and we're all supporting jobs again. But the bigger thing for me is, we're actually winning in humanity. We're winning a human struggle right now, and that's really important to me.
Many
Feels great to hear.
many people say like they're talking about how we're back as an industry. What's one metric that you look at that kind of confirms this for you? Like, what are you looking at that kind of really says this is true?
Yeah, so there's two sources I'm going to be talking about today, and one is Meetings Outlook data from MPI, and they do that quarterly. And then we have a survey that we do at Site called the Incentive Travel Index. So it's a little more niche, but it supports what Meetings Outlook is showing. So the general gist everyone's saying is, but just by looking at kind of group room nights booked for this year and next year. Most people are saying that our industry will be fully back to 2019, which 2019 was the high water mark for our
Right.
industry. Be
Right.
back fully by 2025. But you look at certain segments and definitely certain destinations, they're already back. You talk about our industry, people are tired out there. People are like, I'm busy.
Right.
Tired. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Some headwinds we're still facing is that staffing challenge. So part of what I'm going to be looking at today is, while I truly believe the skies are bright right now for us, we do have some headwinds we have to be honest about. We have staffing shortages that are affecting the experience of travelers.
Yeah.
So some of the local data or recent data from global GBTA, Business Travel Association, is that over 70% of business travelers are having negative travel experiences. So we don't want, if that's
Too high.
it's too high.
Yeah.
And if that employee has a choice of like, I'm going to go to the annual conference, no, I'm just going to watch it online. We don't want their flight delay or their bad experience in the hotel. We don't want those affecting their choice to say, no, I'm going to go, because being there is different than watching it online.
Yeah.
So it's still some of those things we're struggling with. Even though the numbers are positive, we have some watch outs we still have to look at.
And what advice do you have for new people entering our industry, or people that have had awesome careers that are just coming into our industry maybe midstream? What advice do you have being a thought leader in our business?
I love that question. So I'll start with the first part about entering new people,
Yeah.
kind of considering or entering our business. My recommendation is to lean in and to hang in there. So I have one of those.
Yes. 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 Shout out. Shout out to Evan. Yes, Evan.
Just
Mhm.
great company. He's been 2 weeks and he wonders why he's not promoted. And I'm like, dear God, son, I'm gonna throttle you. But it's like,
Dear God, son.
some of the stuff, again, beginning stages of our career. How many of us fell into that first job that was like amazing? We all had to do some stuff that was like, oh, really? But we're learning. And what is the journey telling us of learning and finding mentors? And so my first recommendation is to really give something at least 6 months or a year, even if it's something that you're a little hesitant about, just because there is learning in the journey. It's not just always about that next
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
title or that higher pay. There is learning in the journey. And it's probably the same advice I'd give to somebody that's 10 or 15 years
Okay.
old.
Yeah, because I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Learning in the journey. Sometimes we don't know what success looks like. Did I know at 32 that I wanted to be a CEO? No, but I did know that I wanted to keep learning and stay intellectually curious and professionally curious. So if we can just ask questions along the journey as we're in that middle of our career, and just stay curious and maybe, okay, cross over the line. You've always been on the supplier side of the business. Try being on the buyer side. Try being a man.
I did that.
Helps understand sides of our business and really that value proposition. And once you say, oh, I've walked in your shoes. I did work at a hotel, so I understand. I'm going to negotiate with a little more grace and fairness because I was in your seat. And then vice versa. You're on the supplier side, but you used to be a buyer, and you're like, I know what the buyer's looking for and the planner needs. So I just think staying professionally curious is my other piece of advice.
Good. Good.
Good nugget.
Professionally curious. Yeah. Because I was going to ask you about, because we see a lot of like managers who have experienced, maybe they're 10, 15 years in their career, they've hit a plateau. And so many of them are choosing to leave the industry.
Yes.
What would you say to people who are like, okay, I've come back from the pandemic, I'm working twice as hard as I did pre-pandemic. This is not working for me. I'm thinking about leaving. What's your message to them?
This is interesting timing you asked that. I just heard another podcast about kind of these two waves in our professional development. And one of them is kind of up until age 40-ish or so, where we really get to be subject matter experts. So maybe we're the best in our game in sales or the best in our game in operations. And then you see that job satisfaction kind of diminish because once you've, let's just say, director of operations or director of events, and you're not progressing any further, and you see that kind of job satisfaction wane. And the podcaster was talking about that second wave is really where we really can grow really exponentially more in our 40s and 50s if you're developing, I'll just call it a little bit more of the EQ skills, because that's how everybody relates to those, but able to synthesize disparate thoughts, ability to read audiences, the ability to lead. Those skills we are going to shine and develop and actually excel at better in our 40s and 50s. So I'd say if you're in your 30s and 40s and you're hitting that director level, think of ways that you can jump to that other mountaintop, because you won't be satisfied just doing directors of events for the next 10 years.
No.
You've done it. You've
Yes.
hit that mountaintop.
Yes.
So now to go back and say, okay, maybe now it's time to lead a team,
Mhm.
or time to start my own company, or time to be a consultant, or time to do a side hustle where I'm speaking and engaging my right brain like you do, right? Like
Yes.
this thing, this is your side hustle. So you guys engaging your right brain like you are, it's taking you to that second mountaintop.
Yeah. Can I ask my favorite question, Manny?
I was hoping you would ask. I was hoping you'd ask your favorite question, Amani.
My favorite question.
Let's hear
Here
it.
we go. If you could go back to 21-year-old Annette and give her advice based on everything that you know now, what advice would you give your younger, just beginning your career self?
So I think I would be, I'd be a little more humble. It's wonderful to have, I'm not saying insecure. It's wonderful to have confidence, and we all need confidence. And I'd say, especially women, right? We need that. But I probably didn't ask as many questions as I could have of my mentors and managers, and really tried to learn more, because I think I probably thought I knew it. And I was so driven. And, at 22, I knew where I wanted to be at 25. And I think I missed some of the journey, missed a little bit of like, oh, what I could have milked that brain of that wonderful manager or mentor I had a little bit more. And instead, I was just like, okay, I'm done with you.
Shoot them up and spit them out. 24-year-old Annette.
Still.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. We can't wait to see your keynote speech in about an hour and a half. We'll be going. So just thank you for being a great ambassador for our industry and being very inspirational to us all, too. You're welcome. Sure.
We love having you, and we can't wait to see you on the main stage in the Mesquite Ballroom at 1:30.
1:30. All right.
Thank you.
Cool. We'll be back with our next guest momentarily.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp, make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic. You. El professor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with two hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, and speaking in tongues. Fly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. 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 Fly ink.
Stop laughing.
Yes, we are back here. We have Aaron King with us. Yes.
Giggle Palooza. Just get ready for it.
Yes.
Aaron, welcome.
Thank you.
This is a huge honor to have you as our closing keynote speaker for all of WeCon. Aaron is one of the top global speakers, not just in our industry, but all of the speakers that you could ever get.
Yeah.
We've got her today, and we're really honored to have you. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mandy, for trusting me with this incredible MPI tribe. The energy is off the charts out here in the desert. And I mean, I've already had chills 3 times talking to different meeting professionals around this entire venue. So thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you share with us a little bit, just to give us a little tease in terms of what we're going to be hearing from you today and what we can look forward to in about an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh. Little teaser. Well, we're going to be talking all about how you can unlock what I like to call your big deal energy, your BDE, big deal energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Louder for the people in
Deal.
back.
I mean, it's a fun phrase, but truthfully, I think a lot of us the last 2 and 3 years, because of small global circumstances and just the general energy right now, politically, professionally, we have AI is now taking over the world and post pandemic, social media is still wild. Just a heavy time. There's a lot going on. And I think for a lot of us, even the most confident, self assured, can I say badass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Badass versions of ourselves, even those of us who have always sort of really stood in our power and done a pretty good job of being like, okay, I think I have this. Even we are getting a little shaken off of our axis. And so I think in times like that, you really are kind of facing 2 roads. I mean, one road is you can just say, well, let's see what happens. Hold on tight, fingers crossed. But I think we've sort of been in that mode long enough where most people are looking at the second road. And that second road is, how do I become a little more intentional around how I be more proactive to really reclaim that essence of who I am when I feel like a big darn deal. And so that's our talk today is stories, strategies, and most importantly, some classic blocks that really hold us back from stepping into that core of our power.
So I know the audience today live is lucky to hear all of this, but for the people that are tuned in at home right now, can you share what are some of those classic blocks that
Yeah.
prevent people from unlocking their BD?
Yes. Well, if I may hold your cell phone for a moment.
Yes, hold it.
Friends at home, it starts right here. So in the chat, do we have a live chat here?
Yeah.
So in the chat, go ahead and give me a rating on a scale from 1 to 5. Okay. 5 being you're better than everyone else and you have mastered your relationship with this device. And 1 being, I don't know that I have a very healthy relationship with my inputs from this screen and how it's ultimately impacting our outputs every single day as humans, personally and professionally. And when you put in the chat 1 through 5, you'll begin to see that we're not alone in this feeling of unintentionally going down the scroll hole, comparing our lives to other people's highlight reel. And we know this in our heads, but energetically, it chips away at our big deal energy. You may have woken up this morning. It's Friday, summer's on the horizon. Everyone's excited for what's ahead. And maybe you kind of had a great morning. You worked out, you called mom, you cleaned the house, bills got paid, whatever. And then you opened up this device. And 2 scrolls later, you're like, she's in Italy again? Like, who is funding this? Can she adopt me? Like, what is happening? But you kind of and you go, what do we do? We'll go, our physicality gets smaller and it robs that little moment of joy for us. And then that carries with us into the next meeting, into the next interaction. And it's this not enoughness, this less than epidemic that really does start with being more intentional here. Now, look, I ran a social media agency for 10 years. Mandy, you are a social media ninja. You know the love-hate relationship.
I learned from the best. I read her book, Digital Persuasion.
It's not even a love-hate relationship. It's more like a tolerate-hate relationship. Like you tolerate it and you hate it. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But so I'm not claiming to have mastered it. I certainly have not. But we do need to define the relationship we want to have with how we frame it. So simple step, if you're at home and we have some people coming in the chat, we have
It's
3.
threes, two,
So
three.
3s. Okay,
Yeah.
2 and 3. So one very quick hack that you can use right now at the end of this broadcast, like you're going to jump off this and you're going to do it right away, is a little exercise I like to call the bless and block.
Oh,
Okay.
Mm.
Now,
okay.
the blessing block
I'm pulling
is
up my Instagram now.
the
Go
blessing
ahead.
block. Okay, let's do it.
Come on,
Pull it up.
do
Pull it
it.
up.
Yes.
So here we
Yes.
go.
The
So you
live
give,
lesson block. Here we
so
go.
you give a couple scrolls
Yes.
and you just pay attention to how the individuals that are in your news feed are making you feel. Now, I am not giving you the worst advice on planet Earth, which is never compare yourself. That is not going to happen. We are human beings. Let's
Mhm.
keep it real. And if you figured out, again, we salute you for being better than all of us. But most of us are going to compare on some level.
Yes.
Here is the difference I want you to pay attention to. There is a big difference between unhealthy comparison, why not me? I'm not good at this, I'm not enough, that draining on your battery source, and a little healthy competition. A little healthy competition says, well, he can do it. Maybe I can do it. She's done it. Maybe I could try it. So determining, is this unhealthy comparison or a little healthy competition? And if it's the former, we bless and block. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to judge it. We don't have to analyze it, but we do have to manage it. And that is the first key. It's just bless and block. We send you off with love. Good job on your journey. Wish you well. Unfollow. Move on.
So powerful.
Yeah. And then for the people that are your healthy competition, I tell them, I have like 3 or 4 gals in my orbit right now. And I tell them, I'm like, look, I see you. And when I see you out there and you're doing it,
Mhm.
it makes me feel so excited about the possibility that maybe it could be for me too. So I want you to know I'm chasing you and cheering you on.
Okay.
Boom.
Bless and block.
Mike.
Bless and block.
Yeah.
Root them on.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So you got to bless and block somebody.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There you go.
So money just block.
We got that. We got that block button in full effect. Go ahead.
So something you did after the pandemic, you called the pandemic the poundemic, which I thought was hilarious.
That's real talk.
So for all of us, I think we're all experiencing that coming out. So, and I see you on social media. Also, if you're not following Erin, you have to. It's
Yes.
Miss Erin King, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Erin King.
Immediately.
Immediately follow right away because it's a good follow and you learn a lot. But something that you did, I see you're hiking, you're working out. Can you just talk about what your journey of the pandemic looks like today versus before? Because I think that's something we all can get some help with.
Okay, how much time do we have? This is
We
my
got a little
favorite topic.
time.
Okay, so the poundemic, for those of you who are not familiar at home, is what we called in our house a certain period of time where we were eating our feelings. We had a lot of heavy things happen, as you probably did, as each of you probably did.
Yeah.
It seemed like 10 years of what could really weigh us down sort of happened in this very condensed period of time. And so we have always been a very body positive house. We have always been a very thank you, God, for our health, focus on what we do have. But there have been habits that formed for a lot of us. And the pandemic is the example of like a broader way of living. We all know that at the basis of being a high performing individual, you don't feel good, you can't do good. You don't look good, you can't do. You have to feel good in your skin. You have to feel ready physically for the challenges of the day. And so it's really just this idea of looking at which habits are you leaning into that are just something that you formed to cope, and can you replace just one of them? So full circle, landing the plane for us. What it was I have always been someone who has moved every single day. Well, I was swapping out the hikes and the sweating for the Netflix. We got our very first television that had a big screen, big fancy screen, and we started watching the shows. And so every time I went to put on a show, instead of a show, I went for a walk. And this was 2 years ago. So I'm not weighing myself, but I just know that my clothes fit, my energy's up. And if you're someone in the meetings industry, we are servants. We are in a service industry. And if you don't have the energy, you don't have the patience pants, you don't have the creativity, you don't have the clarity, we can't show up and step into the version of ourselves that, first of all, we know we should be, we know we can be, and we know that our clients need us to be.
Truth.
Yeah.
So true.
What have you noticed as you go out and you're doing events between the difference in how the audiences engage you compared to 2 years ago compared to today? What differences have you noticed? What trends have you observed? What do you see?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So I also come from the meetings industry. That's how I became a keynote speaker. Was my agency ran social media for live events, so associations, conferences. One of the social media speakers missed her flight, so they were like, "We have a packed breakout room. Can you go talk about what you do for us?" I went into the bathroom. I had just live tweeted Amy Cuddy's presence performance keynote at the Sands Expo, and I did my Amy Cuddy power pose in the mirror, and I was like sweating. I was so nervous. Went up there. I have no idea what happened, but that's how my career began as a keynote speaker. But what I've noticed in the evolution from that was maybe 6-7 years ago versus, to your question, 2 years ago, fast forward to today. And what I think is really good for us in this space, job security, is that people cannot get enough in-person time. They cannot get enough face-to-face. I know that is a record we've been playing for the last year, but it is the truth. Energetically, I think the difference is that the audiences that I'm speaking to, and I work with, hospitality, real estate, finance. I do a lot of network marketing companies. You name it. There's one thing, doesn't matter if it's an older demographic, younger, if it's more legacy, if it's more startup. The truth is this: people are a lot more vulnerable and fragile than they used to be, from what we're all still healing from, I think. And so there's a gentleness that I think as planners and as professionals and as guides that are trusted with these audiences, we have to be super cognizant that the more of the more, and the hustle and the hype and the go and people's tanks don't have that kind of gas in it anymore. And so there's this truly radically empathetic energy that I think is the through line for the meetings for now and in the future.
Awesome.
And
All right.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And I think it's a good reminder, everybody. A little empathy goes a long way. So,
Great.
that's
well
true.
said.
So we've got about an hour and a half till we see you on stage for the
Yay.
final keynote. So we'll let you kind of get ready, get prepared. But thank you very much for spending some time with us today. We can't wait to see you for the whole talk. I can't wait. I'm gonna have my notebook. I gotta find my notebook. Get my notebook
Get
ready.
Your notebook. Thanks,
Amani takes a lot of notes.
Yes,
Get
get my notebook.
Amani.
Yes.
He's unfollowing everyone on Instagram. He's following one person by the end of it. By the way, find and replace. Once you
Okay,
bless and
that's
block,
good.
then
Yes,
you want to
yes.
also replenish.
Okay.
I prefer just mindless puppy videos personally, but if you can find a thought leader that fires you up and pumps you up, this is a good one to follow as well. Make sure that you do invite more of that goodness, because social media is not inherently good or evil. It depends on how you decide to use it, right? So seek out what you want to be more of in the world.
Awesome. And then really quick before you go, a couple ways we can support you. So Digital Persuasion is one of Erin's books.
Yes.
Tell us more. How
Yeah.
else can we support you, and how can everybody find you?
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Digital Persuasion, as you know, is all about how you can get more yes, online, offline, all the time. It's about typing more like we talk. It's about elevating your ability to influence and attract the right kind of clients. And the evolution of the book in the last 6 months has really been, how do we better co-create in the age of, say it again, Chat GPT and AI. It is insane. And, I have a digital marketing agency, as you know, Strike Point Media, and we have been experimenting with all of these incredible AI tools. And it is truly mind-blowing. The headline is this, though. It's about delegating lower level thinking to AI so that we can double down on what only we can do, which is that emotional intelligence, doubling down on that radical humanity, curiosity, empathy, all the abilities that we have that they will never have. And so being really cognizant that this is not about us being replaced, but about us being enhanced. And how we think about that is at the core of my Digital Persuasion keynote right now. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
find me on Instagram.
find her on Instagram, book her for your next meeting, see her on stage at 2:00 in the Mesquite Ballroom. And thanks for being here.
Thanks, Nancy.
We love you. You're
Love
the
you
best.
too, girl. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Thanks,
Yes,
Amani.
thanks
We'll
for
be
being
back
here.
soon with
See you
our
guys
next
soon.
guest. Sure. Hold on.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp, make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic. Yo, give it a stage in a minute, I'ma eat you. El profesor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with two hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, slipping, speaking in tongues. Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. 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 Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done.
Okay, welcome back. Now we're here with MPI Southern California Chapter President Amy Zielinski. Amy, congratulations on a very successful WeCon. How are you feeling?
Thank you so much. I'm feeling amazing, to be honest. I feel great. The feedback has been so great so far. Lots of connecting, lots of great education. I feel amazing.
Awesome.
Slightly tired.
Yes, well, you deserve to be tired. You went above and beyond because of circumstances that happened on the chapter. What has been maybe some of your top learnings that you've had during all the sessions we've had? What have been some of your more exciting moments of this WeCon?
I think connecting, really, for me.
Mhm.
Again, that's the biggest thing. Candidly, I have not been able to attend quite as many sessions as I want because I've got several programs coming up, so schedule wise and whatnot.
Yes.
So for me, and that's one of the things that I love about this program is there are so many opportunities to connect throughout the week, throughout the over the several days, so really, again, connecting with people, that's been my biggest thing, and just understanding what their story is. And it's the stuff that's outside of the classroom. For me,
Mm-hmm.
that's often the benefit of this event.
It's awesome.
I'm curious, and for everybody watching and everybody that's here, this is the current president and this is the past president of Monty.
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to
And
ask both
future
of you the
president.
same question. No, absolutely
She's like,
not.
no.
Whoever volunteer. But so, Amy, when you think back on your last year, because your presidency is about to end, or coming up at the end of it, and that went so fast, what is one word that comes to mind that just encapsulates your presidency this past year of our chapter?
I think transition. It's been a very transitional year for us, so we've gone through, as you kind of alluded to, we've had, we had a reunification with our Orange
Yes.
County chapter. So there's been a lot of transition there from a personal perspective, personal growth, lots of things that I've learned over the last year. So transition, and then flexibility also, just needing with so many things happening, so many changes in people's personal lives, professional lives, all of it. You really have to be flexible. So I think it'd be a combination of those two.
Okay, Amani, you're up.
Oh, and the question, repeat the question, because I was getting ready for Amy's next question.
Till nap, even though he was upright with his eyes open. Okay. So Amani was president last year, right? So your presidency was coming to a conclusion around this time last year.
Yeah.
So what's one word that encapsulates your presidency when you're president of MPI Southern California?
I'll give you three: survive and thrive is what I would say, because we were still in the pandemic, and we had to do a lot of things. It was a lot of virtual, and then in person, then virtual, then testing, then in person. It was a lot, but we got through it, and we were able to kind of do well with what we were able to the events we were able to put on, and then we just led into Amy's year, which was then able to ascend even more, get us back to kind of pre-pandemic levels in terms of attendance and events. So it was just kind of trying to maintain the ship and keep it moving.
Okay, last question, and then I know you've
Yes.
got a bunch.
Yes.
What is one piece of advice that you give to Amy as she's succeeding out of her presidency? Because now
Ooh.
you're coming off of your,
Yes.
this past year that you weren't your immediate past
Right.
president.
I would say just give yourself grace for everything that we went through this year. Be very proud of what we accomplished, because it's a lot of times when we're president, we're in it so much that we cannot see everything we've accomplished. We've joined together with another chapter, so we've reunified. We've put on some amazing events, like particularly State of the Industry, GMID. Like, we have done some really, really high quality events, and then WeCon, which we're closing off. So definitely celebrate, because we've had a great year, and it's very hard when you're in it 24/7 on calls, on meetings, and things like that. But now just take a step back and really kind of give yourself a pat on the back, or a hug, a kiss, a cry, whatever, because we've done really,
All the
really
above.
well. And it's hard to see that when you're in it. You, like, even I look back and say, oh, wow, we did do well at that. And so that would be my advice.
I think that's great, actually, because you're so right. It is so hard to see when you're in it.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't know, how has this gone?
Yes.
I
You
know.
know,
Yeah.
but you're right, when you can look at kind of some of the tangible
Oh,
elements
yes.
of it, the education, the
Mhm.
networking, and things like that. That's
Yeah,
super helpful.
100%.
Yeah.
And the people that are coming up behind us to take leadership roles too, that have been volunteers, really good. I want to kind of change directions. Tell us about Bushbox, and then also tell us about how has MPI helped you grow your company.
Got it. So Bushbox is a monthly subscription tasting experience that is focused on variations of single ingredients that you use in cooking every day. So think of it, the way that I like to describe it best is everyone in the pandemic probably got a wine tasting delivered to their home, right? So it's very similar to that, but each month we focus on one particular ingredient, variations of that ingredient. So you may get 6 or 8 different versions of honey, or oil, cooking oil, or salt, or pepper, vinegar, so on and so forth. And then it includes things like tasting cards, tasting notes, recipes, a little fun little kitchen gadget, things like that. And then quarterly, we have a live virtual tasting experience. So you can
Yes.
hop on Zoom. We have people from all over the country, and it's really great. And people really tend to love using it for mostly for gifts, because even though, one thing that everyone has really leaned into being able to stay more connected, even after the pandemic, from afar, via Zoom, via whatever it is.
Yes.
And so people are like sending these, they buy one for themselves, and then they buy one for a friend, and then they get online and they do it, together. And it's a really great way to keep that community going and the family going. As far as MPI, what I've learned is it's a great team building experience.
Yes.
And obviously, all of the connections that we have here are amazing. And so it's really, that's the big thing is, so I've got one actually next month with one of our partners here. And just, again, bringing people together, offering a truly unique experience. I mean, when was the last time you did a vinegar tasting? You know what I mean? And really learned how to use it and things like that. So it's really fun. And it's been fun also to kind of work within a theme. We were talking about potentially doing a bush box here, right? And the theme here is one of the words, our keywords is ignite. And
Yes.
so our theme this month for bush box, it has been hot sauce. So, finding ways to connect all of these themes. It's also been really fun.
Yeah.
It's a great client gift too. I actually bought a bunch
You have
a couple weeks ago, or I don't know, maybe a couple months ago at this point. I can't remember. But it's a unique thing that people remember, and it's thoughtful, and it's homegrown.
Yeah.
You're buying locally and from somebody that you know and trust. So I love Bushbox. I think it's really
I
cool.
appreciate it. And yeah, it is great to make these connections and introduce it to people and have the support of friends and colleagues who have all experienced it. And
I want to make a point that this is Amy, who's running her own business, and being chapter president and has a second business that she's running. So it's a little different when you're president because I had the same thing doing these things compared to if you work for like a big corporation like an MGM or whatever and they kind of support you where you are doing like 3 full-time jobs where maybe 1.5 is paying you. So I want to kind of put that
Very
out
true.
there so that people are aware. As you move forward and you're going to come and take over and be immediate past president, how have you personally grown through this experience?
I think for me, it goes back to the flexibility and giving. You guys were talking about this earlier. Giving yourself grace,
Yes.
and giving other people grace.
Yes.
That has honestly been my biggest takeaway. Really, is just I'm not going to get everything done in as efficiently, as quickly as I would like, and just letting remembering that you are doing the best that you can, and that no one's going to die.
No.
That's always been a thing.
Yes.
Is taking that step back and thinking, what is the worst case scenario here? And okay, so you might be an hour late getting something done or whatever it is, but giving yourself grace, giving those around you grace, and again, that flexibility.
Awesome. Well said. I think we're going to give you some time to eat lunch before we can get to the general session, which is going to start soon. But just thank you for helping lead us through this amazing conference. There's a lot of pressure for WeCon, Manny, with the speakers, with the revenue goals we have. And so it's just really, really, I'm just really proud. So great job. Continue to lead us. We got a month and a half left. And yeah.
I appreciate that. I would love to take all of the credit, but the team that we have, it's definitely not me. We've had an amazing team who has put this together. Both of you are on the team. And, we couldn't do it without every single person on the team. So I appreciate that.
Well,
Awesome.
Thank you for leading us. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And we'll see you in the closing general session.
Yes.
Sounds
We'll
good.
see you
Okay.
soon.
Thank
All right.
you.
We'll be right back with our next guest momentarily.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp. Make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic. Yo, give it a stage in a minute, I'ma eat you. El profesor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with 2 hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, and speaking in tongues. Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. 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 Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done.
welcome back. We have Tom Griggs with us, who's going to chat with us momentarily. First of all, thank you for just an amazing keynote speech yesterday. We really enjoyed it. Got us up and down a lot. So thank you for that. I know Mandy has some questions to start off with, right?
I always have questions to start off with, but I want to offer a little bit of gratitude because we found Tom as a recommendation from someone else that had seen him. And it's hard to commit to these types of things. It's hard to figure out. And he was the best speaker and the best pre-speaker. Like just the key, he communicated and you got everything to us on time and you were awesome. So just thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, the tops of my heart from everything. That was great. And
Very welcome.
when you spoke live, I think my biggest takeaway was you have a very calming presence and having an afternoon keynote is always difficult.
Yeah.
And you got everybody so energized with a calming presence. So I think my first question is how do you do that? How do you get people up by still staying kind of flat and calm? Because I think that's a real talent.
First of all, thank you and you're very welcome.
Mhm.
Appreciate everything y'all do. I'm glad to be here. You really just have to tap into what people need. We learned a long time ago. Well, I learned a long time ago as I got into the speaking business, and I'm still learning a lot. Listen to your audience, but listen to your planners. So those conversations back and forth. And I want to thank you, Mandy, for always being available. I know you had some time where you had to be out of the country, but you still were able to communicate and connect. And I just want to put my best foot forward and let my best presence show up. So that drives me to make sure I make your life as easy as possible. So thank you for that. And I love challenge. I've been in martial arts for almost 30 years. Part of my story about my family was how much crazy hardship we went through. But if you accept that as that's just part of the journey to help you build and grow, even though you don't know what you're going to turn into, hopefully something good, it pushes you to be better.
Mhm.
And it pushes you to take on challenges with grace and patience and compassion
Mhm.
and empathy, our favorite word.
Mhm.
So I just want to be the best speaker possible, the best person to work with as a liaison, when you're working with someone. And I want the audience to really enjoy it. So that's just me. If you give me a challenging situation, I'm going to do my best to make it amazing.
Well, speaking of that, one of the things that Tom had talked about on stage yesterday was how to deal with challenging situations
Mhm.
and how to deal with difficult people. So,
Right.
for the people that didn't have the benefit of being there yesterday, what can you tell our audience about, top three things people can, because you gave some great illustrations of
Thank
what
you.
people can do in challenging situations with difficult people.
Well, I'll make it simple. We'll keep it for work related.
Okay.
One of the things we said, and I always taught this, is what I call the three P's of conflict. Conflict arises, let's say, in the workplace with clients or within your office. It's either people related, policy, or process. Your rules are what they are, the way things are done, the way are how they're done. But people are the hardest part. And every time I do the little, okay, raise your hand if you think this, most of your work conflicts are related to your policies and rules. You get a few. Process, you get a few. People, everyone's hands goes up.
Mhm.
But I also help people think about what it is. If someone says, "Hey, if you reserve this space, this meeting hall, we demand we ask for a 50%, deposit up front within 48 hours," and your company's like, "No, we don't do that. The most we'll give is 30%." There's no reason for you as a representative of one side and representative of the other to be really getting into it. The rules are what they are.
Mhm.
So can we find a compromise as opposed to I don't like that person? Because we make things so personal
Mhm.
and it's not necessary. So I think a lot of that comes down into it. And we talk about, you mentioned how do you deal with difficult clients yourself? You said empathy. And our friend Deshaun said focus on the problems and not the people. So I
Mm.
think that helps a lot too. And I want to say a lot to MPI that there's a lot of wealth of experience. Amani, how long have you been in the meeting?
So I've been a board member for 8 years. I've been a member of the chapter for probably 11.
Yeah. And how long have you been a professional? So, I mean, a
Well,
meeting professional?
I've worked
15?
in at least 16, 17
Right.
years. Yeah.
And so with
Yeah.
16, 17 years, I know you've got a little more than that. So, right.
Mhm.
Then there's where y'all help each other.
Mhm.
We have the young lady who's a college student, and
That was a great story. Can you tell that story?
yeah. So I
Love
met
that.
first time I met a young lady who's here. This is her first time in MPI is all. She's a college student. She's working on her certified meeting planner
Yeah.
designation.
Mhm.
And this is her first event ever. I'm like, well, you're in it for a treat because you're in the 45-year-old fourth largest chapter, award winning, Southern California chapter. And she came to martial arts self defense session, and the people who showed up all spent time talking to her, saying, "Hey, have you thought this? Have you done that?" And that's the power of helping the people who are moving up to move further, back to empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what it was like when you started as maybe a
Oh,
20-year-old in this industry?
Mm-hmm.
And some of us go, and technology was different.
Mhm.
You didn't have all this.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Everything was maybe you were put it on some kind of a database
A
and
ledger, a
yeah, but a
ledger,
lot of
a
text.
journal. Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you needed to have a phone call, you needed to be near a phone.
That's right.
A lot of us didn't have phones. 30, there weren't cell phones.
There were no cell
Come on.
phones in the workplace when
So
I started.
so
Yeah.
maybe you were stuck with beepers.
Yeah.
You know,
I had a pager. I had a
Yes.
strong pager game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Serious.
I still remember my number.
I know your friends like, is that a drug? It's not a
Yes.
drug call. I'm a professional.
Right, right.
Meeting planner, you know. But exactly. So
Yeah.
we have to understand those things have changed for people, and we need to be there for them to help them grow. Because when we're gone, not dead, just when you've retired,
Mhm.
look at what you left behind. I tell people, think about the legacy. When you think also about dealing with difficult and challenging people, excuse me, what kind of legacy are you leaving behind for
Mhm.
others? What's your reputation? You know, tough person, but fair and good to work with is nice, as opposed to avoid it all. You don't want the avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So your legacy matters, and also not just for your professional and personal reputation, but also for that of your company and the industry.
Ah,
As
so true.
a professional speaker,
Yes, sir.
how were you able to survive the pandemic, and how have you seen your business change over the last 5 years?
Absolutely. So, like many people, virtual. Monty and I were just geeking out about, oh, you got the stream deck
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
I was doing virtual games. I was doing
Mhm.
everything to kind of connect. I worked with a lot of education clients as well, and they needed people to help their students
Yeah.
feel engaged, especially the economically challenged. And I work with Trio, Upward Bound, a lot of those
Mhm.
programs. I love it very much. Trio works. You know, like that's their motto. And so I'm glad to jump in and help however I can. I also tell people I worked with the staff. So we did game shows for the staff. When you had your annual multi-state conference, it was virtual. I was a game show guy. I was having people doing, name that tune and trivia games. And I would, whoever wins gets like a, $30 Starbucks card. You start giving people gift cards, they get ultra competitive, but you got to connect with people.
Yeah.
And we tell people it looked like the end of the world, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know that there's going to be something better on the other end of this. So just like I told my Sensei Tori down in Houston, TNT Jiu Jitsu always teaches patience. If you're in a situation where someone grabs you or you get thrown on the ground, you have to get to your right position, cover yourself accordingly. And sometimes if you can't get out of it, wait for the opening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about strategy. It's all about understanding. It takes patience, and then maybe sometimes you strike quickly or you move quickly to something else. But you have to know that if I'm in a disadvantageous position, sometimes if I can't get out of it, I just need to wait. Openings almost always come,
Mm-hmm.
and if your opponent, for lack of a better word, isn't working, they're going to create openings just from their movements. So if you think about it like that, that also goes back to the question about working with challenging people. You teach negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're just waiting for that thing, waiting for that moment. I'm glad you brought that up. So how about we do this? See, she knows it's a chess and checkers, dominoes,
Yeah.
spades, poker, whatever you want.
Oh,
It's all-
spades. Spades.
Come on now.
Now
Come on now.
no. Amani just woke up again. He's gonna
Don't you put that down. No.
Yes. Yes.
I got a feeling mine is tough. Like, y'all got to watch him.
I count the cards. Yes. Yes.
So,
What now? Okay, so we're going to move forward and looking to the summer and then the rest of the year. What are you excited about in terms of like your business, and what will you take away from WeCon that you can apply to your business?
yeah, absolutely. So what I'm looking forward to is summer work. I've got some educational conferences ahead of me. NSA, got to put in a plug for National Speakers
Yes,
Association
yes.
doing theirs because I'm getting more training, but I'm also doing the self-defense seminars, a couple
Nice.
of them. So I'm really
Good.
honored to be presenting at least this part of my life to my fellow speakers, many of whom are heads and tails above me, but it's great that we all can learn and share.
Yeah.
Family vacation, son, and all that, and just really, I think that's something I'm really interested in seeing how the summer plays out, connecting with people and doing more work. I recently so blessed to get on TV talking about healthcare workers, which is one of my clients, healthcare worker safety. So I'm trying to actually get call out to different TV stations, say, hey, I'll be here for this. Can we do some things? Because I teach about healthcare worker safety, how to get released, how to use improvised tools to keep yourself safe in those situations where you're enclosed in a room with somebody who might be not in the right mind, but you still can't get hurt. You have to protect yourself and still try and minimize or do no harm. As for MPI, this is my second event ever.
Okay.
Yeah, my first event was like January 2017. I just walked in and asked, can I check things out because I was a speaker? And yeah, everyone was very warm and welcoming.
Yeah.
And then like The second time I'm at an MPI event, I'm giving an afternoon keynote. So thank you, MPI.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yes. Let's see about the third time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Looking forward to just really connecting different chapters. I met people from the Carolinas here, and
Mhm.
they also work with Virginia.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about meeting some of the presidents and different people about doing some of the worldwide stuff next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for it. I'm all for connecting with different chapters and just sharing the information. Because I'm not a gloom and doom person, but the world is a little bit tougher now. I don't want to beat the drum about mental health, but there's a lot of mental health issues going on. If you
Mhm.
look at the level of violence and just seemingly like irrational behavior, you know, you've seen people having major fights in a parking lot over a parking space.
Yeah.
And people you wouldn't think would be that angry, but
Yeah.
grandma's getting ready to throw down. You know, she's
Yeah.
first. You got to duck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's messed up.
Yeah.
And so teaching people how to de-escalate, how to see it ahead of times, and how to let things go. You want that spot? You can have it. I'm good. I'm cool. Go walk.
Yeah.
Walk.
Walk away.
Yeah.
Just walk away.
Walk away. Drive. Park across the parking lot and just be cool. Give them a few minutes. Go about your business.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I was telling the self-defense class this morning, you're trying to do enough to get away so you can get home. Go
Yeah.
home to your family. Go home to the rest of your life. This isn't John Wick or all these crazy action adventure movies because in the end he died anyway. So
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Yes. Spoiler alert. Right. Awesome.
Better safe than sorry.
Well, just thank you for giving us an amazing keynote and also coming back this morning and doing a breakout. So we appreciate that.
Yes.
We're
And
glad.
thanks for being here.
Yes.
Right here in this
Yes.
moment. Yeah. We
Yes.
Thank you all. You're
appreciate
very
you.
welcome.
Yes. Thank you. So we'll definitely put how to stay in. What's the best way for people to stay in touch with you and support you?
Can we hold this one?
Yeah, for sure.
So we have this one. You can see my website, which is www.ntgriggs.com. It has all my information on there. Again, I love corporate associations, nonprofits, and educational groups. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Help people learn how to find their inner black belt.
All right.
I trademarked that one. Find your inner black belt. It's actually trademarked.
All right. Good.
Awesome.
Smart man. Wise man.
Thank you for being here. We
Cool.
love having you.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Safe
appreciate it.
travels back.
Thank you, my
Yes.
friend. You too.
Okay.
We'll be back with our next guest momentarily. Stay tuned.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp. Make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic.
Super Mario, the video games beloved by millions over 4 decades, now brought to life in vivid reality.
When you guys came through the castle and you saw this, what'd you think?
Amazing.
Amazing.
I think I'm really in the game.
This is Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood. Opening to the general public on Friday, it immerses Super Mario fans in a real-life Mushroom Kingdom and sweeps them into a 360-degree world with Mario, Luigi, and Princess Peach as they take on the evil Bowser, compete with fellow players for victory.
Who is this for?
You know, it's really for everybody. I mean, it's been really rewarding. I've seen kids come out at 6 years old and they come out in the land and they scream, and I've seen 50-year-olds come out and scream.
And here we are, the main event, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, with tech so advanced it has never been seen before at a U.S. theme park until now. Oh my God, if 10-year-old Gotti could see me right now inside of Bowser's castle, let's go!
We got an exclusive peek of the Mario Kart ride. It's augmented reality goggles beaming interactive characters from the game right into my path. All right, taking me underwater and through the clouds as I tried to beat Bowser and win the Golden Cup.
Let's go again.
Universal Studios says the ride is designed for people of all sizes, and to ensure a comfy fit, you can sample a test seat beforehand. And if you want enhanced access to the experience, you can buy a special power-up band that syncs with the park's free app and keeps score like in the game.
Mamma mia!
And gives you elevated conversations with life-sized characters.
Luigi time!
Luigi time!
Luigi time!
You look super cool.
You look super cool, Luigi. I forgot my overalls.
At the Toadstool Cafe, these fan favorites are even molded into the food. And of course, the Mario Burger comes complete with his signature stash.
You want to know how to wear a burger mustache? Watch this.
This land a treat for Super Mario fans of all ages.
Like, my mind is blown. Like, I recognize so much things.
So it's almost like you've been here before, but you've never been here before.
A magical world where players literally become part of the game.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mario. Bye-bye, Luigi. Yeah.
Thanks for watching our
Okay, we are back. We have Stacy with us from Universal Studios Hollywood. As you saw watching the live stream, we were watching Nintendo World video. So my first question, Stacy, is I would love to go to Nintendo World over the summer. What do I need to do to acquire some free passes?
Starting off.
Yes, there we go. There. Okay. My students would be so jealous. My students at California State University of Fullerton, they love it. They've been talking about it since it opened. And even I had one group, I'll show you a picture when we finish, that they did their project. You're supposed to pick a company and talk about how a company is growing and their areas of opportunity, and they did it on Nintendo. So we talked about that. And they dressed up in costume.
Yep.
So proud.
That's so fun. All
Yes.
the Mario and Luigi's running around.
Yes, exactly. And they had the other ones too, Donkey or somebody. It was crazy. So, anyways, you're here, you're at WeCon. Share some thoughts with us about your experience with us here at WeCon. What did you learn? What are your takeaways?
I mean, WeCon is always one of my favorite, conventions to come to. It's my third one so far.
All right.
My first one was the March 2019.
Okay.
So I got to hit
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
You got Santa Barbara,
Yep.
February 2020. So go ahead. Okay.
Yep. So it was fun.
Oh,
So it's
yes.
really watching this program regrow back.
Yes.
Since the shutdown and everything, and really starting to see it get its legs back on the ground.
Yeah.
What I really enjoyed about this one was I felt like you guys embrace the environment that we're in. So it's a very tranquil hotel. It's very relaxed. So even the opening night reception was that same way.
Yeah.
It was take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Go get your aura reading, go get your crystals, go figure out a little bit of you. And I think taking planners or anyone that works for a supplier or hotel, we're always so go with events. So having those moments of just reconnect with yourself, I love that it was kind of incorporated this year in kind of a different type of tone and feel.
Awesome.
I love that.
Cool.
What were some speakers that you saw or just a nugget that you might have gotten out of one of the sessions that jumped out at you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the one that really jumped out at me was still the first opening keynotes.
Yes.
We did the freestyle.
Oh,
So doing the beatboxing freestyle, I don't know if
Yes.
anyone talked about, but for me, it kind of loosened everyone up. I think it was a great way to just kick it off, and I never would have really thought about going down that road to kind of loosen up. I mean, I did theater classes when I was younger. I think you always were thrown in to go do that stuff,
Right.
before you go do that fun stuff. But having it in a planner type situation, it was a great way to be hey, shake it off before you go meet a client. Have some fun with it. We are in the industry of fun, and to remember to have fun while we do it. So
That's so great.
Yeah.
And then going back to taking care of yourself, right? I think in our industry, we all could do a better job at taking care of ourselves. So, what are some things you do to keep yourself whole, to make space for yourself when you're not working, which I know is probably a lot?
and it is hard. I mean, like everyone, I sometimes all of a sudden find myself closing my computer really late at night. I really try to carve out the time with my fiance, and we have this hardcore. We always have to get our dog out for a 2-mile walk every single evening at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. before it gets dark.
After dinner, yes,
After dinner.
yes. Manny,
Digestion walk.
digestion walk.
We had a guest on one time who's a health coach, and she
Yes.
told us all to do digestion walks.
Yes.
But for me, it forces me, if I'm in the office that day, I got to get home before it's dark. I
Good.
got to go walk my dog. I got to go have family time. And so that's my habit that I'm always keeping in. Now I need to layer in a lot more me time and yoga back in, but working on it. It's a great place to be where the industry is really rebounded and we're all really busy. But we
still want to keep some of that like time that we figured out during the slower time in COVID of like taking care of ourselves and some of
Yeah.
those good habits as well.
So tell us, as a supplier, first of all, what do you do for Universal Studios, and how has coming to a conference like WeCon benefited you?
Yeah, so I'm a sales manager for Universal Studios Hollywood. So I sell pretty much anything that you see inside the theme park. So any little nook and cranny you can think of, from Harry Potter to Nintendo World. And then we also do have a soundstage space. So if you
Yeah.
went to State of the Industry, we did host
Mhm.
and got everyone from MPI down.
Yes.
But it's a ton of fun. Anything under the sun, from daytime picnics, team buildings, to all the way park takeovers. It's been a great property to work for. I've been there for 8 years.
Okay. Okay.
Why I like WeCon is I get a combo. I get to see a lot of like planners I haven't seen in a while, meet some new ones. But then for us as a supplier, we're a little bit unique where my partners are still the hoteliers too.
Mm.
So we don't have any hotel space. So we still have to rely on my hoteliers to be like, hey, we have a group coming in. Let's look at you guys for an offsite. And same thing with the CBB we work very closely with. So I kind
Good.
of get like a little twofer
Okay.
every once in a while and get to like
Okay.
partner with like multiple different people while I'm at WeCon.
Awesome.
I want to know, if you've been at Universal Studios for 18 years, what was your first job there?
Oh, I will correct. I have 8 years.
Oh, 8 years.
Yes.
It's still
I'm
a long
allowed
time.
to take the
At
18
18
years.
is a long time. You should get a watch at 18. No, no. What was your first? I mean, 8 years is still a long time.
Yes.
What have you been doing the same thing this whole
No,
time?
so
What's your first role there?
Yeah, I definitely grew up within the company. I was actually, my first role was a studio tour guide. So I
Okay.
pointed right and left off of the studio tour tram. I worked industry based, so that's why I went into that job. It was a day gig. I was able to go do my industry based jobs, but have a
Wow.
day gig.
Okay.
A lot of the actors or industry folks do the same thing.
Mhm.
And then I just got lucky enough and got onto internship into the special events program and worked my way up and stayed and has remained.
Okay.
So I've been in the events industry probably going on around 5-6 years now.
Okay.
So.
Many of my students would love to know, how could they, as they're graduating or maybe they're in school, become a part of the internship program. What advice would you have for students?
Yeah, so I will say one of the things I love about Universal is if you become what we call a front of line employee, so you work at an attraction or studio tour, you're really the like client facing for any of the guests coming in the park. You have a name tag on. We have what's called a job placement program. So once you're hired on, there's so many different programs that open up, whether it be in finance, sales, managing the different front of house staff. They always are needing help. So there's multiple different programs that happen. You can be in a long-term one, short-term one, and a lot of people will actually grow up within the company from jumping into that program.
Awesome. Cool, cool. Now, okay, Universal Studios, how has your world and work changed since Nintendo World opened? Because there was a lot of media attention, and a lot more people are coming to the park, I'm assuming. So kind of tell us what's been your experience that way.
I mean, it's been really, really busy. So good news is we are right now focusing on our daytime guests, our, families coming in, anyone that's coming in from across the country, world, globe, wherever it may be, really focusing in and honing in on our daytime guest experience. So we've seen a lot longer park hours, sellout days during normally historically like softer time periods.
That's great, though.
So it's great. It's really good. For us event wise, we're just having a shift on what kind of events we can do right now. So we're looking for, hey, if we're going to do an after hours buyout, let's shoot towards 2024, like later fall.
Right.
But there's always just a way to pivot and move. But it's a great story for the company as a whole that we are just gangbusters right now. And Nintendo fans are huge
Yes,
fans.
they are. Very loyal, very loyal.
What
Yes.
is the smallest group event people can do at Universal Studios? What is the largest? What are some unique things you've seen people do at the space?
So we can do anywhere, what we call group is like anywhere between 25 people. So we can do teeny tiny little groups like that. Do city walk restaurants, so we can do like a meal there, have a ticket, let them mix into the park, do team buildings, and then we go all the way up to like 10,000 plus, where all of a sudden companies and corporations can come in and do full theme park takeovers.
Awesome.
Where once our park closes for the evening and we get the daytime guests out, they can just take it over and it's theirs for the whole entire evening.
Great.
But it ranges. I think our sweet spot is sometimes at 6,000 to 2,000, and we'll do partial takeovers. So we'll just have Harry Potter, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, or Jess Springfield, and you can kind of do a fun mix and match. So for me, I always say just throw your group my way.
Okay.
I'll get creative.
All right.
I'll brainstorm.
You'll figure it
I'll figure
out.
it
We
out.
like that. We like that.
We'll
kind
get
of
our
partner.
special wands from Harry Potter. I like it. I like it.
And then one final thing for me. I know Amani has a favorite question. He's probably about to ask you, but thank you. You're a sponsor of this event.
Yes.
And right now, I know it's really difficult to decide where you put your marketing dollars. So How did you, as an organization, decide to put some marketing dollars towards this chapter, this event, and how can we support you since you've been
Yes.
such a support to us?
Mhm.
I love that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for us, MPI has always been a big part of Universal. We've always been a part of either being a member for years or being a part of Sasha Tani when she was with
Yes.
us.
Sasha,
We
get
love
well.
Sasha.
Get well, Sasha. We know you broke your leg.
I hope
Miss
your
you,
leg
get
is
Yes.
well.
better.
Yeah.
She was a really big component
Mhm.
for MPI too. So I think her culture really fed over into ours as well. And we just know the benefit of it and the
Mhm.
reach that you can have on a local level and also a national level. So it's a great organization. And for us, we will always, be very big advocates for MPI and will always want to participate. So
Awesome. Cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
with that, thank you very much. And to enjoy the next general session, the closing general session. We'll see you there. I'm going to save my special question for the next time we chat. So I won't put you on the spot now. So something to look forward to there. And just we appreciate you. Thank you for your support of the chapter. And thank you for being here at WeCon. And we'll see you in general session in about 35 minutes.
perfect. Well, appreciate it. Thank you guys.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Have a good
Stacy.
one.
All
You're the
right.
best.
We'll be back really quickly with our next guest. Stay tuned.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp. Make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic. Yo, give it a stage in a minute, I'ma eat you. El profesor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with two hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, and speaking in tongues. Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. That's how we get it done. That's how we get it done. That's how we get it done.
In Sonoma County, we're surrounded by the proof that our actions ripple outward. When you travel here, every action is an opportunity. Every choice creates change. Every pause has an effect. Learn how a moment of mindfulness can help preserve Sonoma County for years to come at sonomacounty.com/pause.
All right, welcome back. We have Kurt Shaver with us from Sonoma. Kurt, welcome in. Thank you for being here.
The one and only Kurt Shaver.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What has been your opinion? This is your first WeCon?
That is right. Yes,
okay,
it is.
your first WeCon. What has been your opinion on the conference? And tell us your thoughts as we come to a close.
I mean, it's been a fantastic conference, right? I mean, it's a beautiful setting. That's a good start. The sessions have been great, but the people, I think, are what really make it. This is definitely a very tight community. You can tell it's a very supportive community. You know, I'm a Northern Cal guy, right? So So I'm from up north, but everybody's been so welcoming here, and I've really just gotten a lot of good relationships started, I think.
I think so. I mean, we just met you, and I think we're best friends for life now.
Cheers.
Cheers to that little
Yeah.
mic drop. Yeah, mic
Yeah.
cheers. I want to ask because you are a sponsor. Sonoma Tourism is a sponsor of this event. So thank you for sponsoring. But when you decide on where you put your tourism dollars, if this is your first time being at WeCon, how did you decide to sponsor this chapter, this particular time?
Yeah, so I think it was pretty easy really to decide to sponsor this. So we're now, I guess, maybe a year and a half, into our re-ramp up after the pandemic, like many tourist organizations. And probably the real key for Sonoma County tourism was the fact that so much of Southern California is covered by a direct flight market into Sonoma County Airport, right, which is the only commercial airport in wine country. So people can fly direct from, let's tick them off, San Diego, Orange County, Palm Springs, Burbank, and LAX. So there's 5 direct flight markets where they can come right and, they can touch down and within 20 minutes be sipping a Pinot Noir at their resort. So that was really the clincher why we wanted to get more involved with MPI SoCal.
Awesome. And I'm so glad we did. Okay, now merging gears from Sonoma Tourism just to you as a human, you have done so much in your career over the years, and you've been a trailblazer and a pioneer in what you've been doing. So, can you just explain your philosophy in the workplace and just some of the things that you've done where you've been just a couple steps ahead of everybody else?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I would consider myself an early adopter. Is probably the popular term, right? So, trying to look at like what the technologies are. If I go way back, like 30 years in the
Just
90s,
take us there. Take us to
like
the
in
90s.
the 90s, it was the internet, right? That the internet pops up in the 90s, and first it's email, and then it's World Wide Web, and so you're doing all of that. I worked for a company at the time that actually made like giant paper catalogs, like auto parts and screws and things like that. They were like phone book size, right? And so I kind of led a team there to say like, hey, maybe we can put these 700 pages books that get mailed around. Maybe we can like put it on the World Wide Web, electronic catalog kind of a thing.
There you go.
And so we kind of got a team together to do that, and it worked. And, that's all the e-commerce and online store and all that sort of thing. So that was that. I think these things tend to happen like in maybe decade blocks. So then you get into like the aughts, which is like the weirdest decade nickname, but the aughts.
Yeah.
And that's when social media popped up, right? So I got a pop quiz for you guys.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right.
Since you're big LinkedIn
Get
live.
ready, Professor
We're
Amani.
ready. We're ready.
LinkedIn livers.
Talk to us.
How old is LinkedIn?
Ooh.
Ooh.
LinkedIn's probably about, I think they're about 25 years old, 25 or 26 years old, I think.
Close. Just 20. Just
Okay,
20.
20. Okay,
But
just
it is it's the
Oh.
oldest of the major social networks.
Yeah, I didn't
Right,
know that.
yeah.
20 years. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
That makes
so,
sense.
so then I really got into LinkedIn. I was just using it really for sales purposes. And then finally I left the corporate world and I started my own sales training thing. And I was doing regular kind of sales training, prospecting and things like that. And all my clients kept wanting me to do more and more LinkedIn training. So basically the last like 7 years of my sales training business, I just taught people how to use LinkedIn for
Ooh,
prospecting.
I don't think I realized that. Okay, so what are a couple quick
Talk
hot
to us.
tips
Yes, LinkedIn.
that you would give people
Yeah.
on using LinkedIn right now?
It's Mandy, it's kind of the same answer when people are like, how do you get in good shape? It's
Well,
pretty easy. It's
yeah,
like eat right
consistent.
and exercise.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
So the question, how do you succeed on LinkedIn? It's 2 super simple thing. Build an audience, feed them content, and then build more of an audience and then feed them more content and then build your audience and feed them more content, right? So it's no different than this show, a magazine, a radio, a television station, like any media company. It's like you got to build an audience and give them the content they want, and then the audience will grow, and then you got to give them more content, and right, and then at some point you can work in whatever promotional message you want to do. But it's the same formula for any media company. It's just now we're all individually
right.
media companies. I love the restaurateur that you had on the show.
Sean Walchef.
Yeah. He was really talking to me. You know, he got this idea.
Yes.
He absolutely espoused the idea that each person is a media company or can be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We are our
100%.
own media company. Nobody's going to do it for you. Yeah.
So since you kind of are staying ahead of the curve, what are you looking at next? Like, what's coming down the road that excites you or that we should be paying attention to?
I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I'm kind of I'm ashamed to announce it because I don't think I'm quite on the early adopter yet. I think it has passed me by. I got to get on the ball. I have to get on the ball. So that would be everything surrounding AI.
Yes.
Right.
You're still early though. You're still early.
It's still probably early enough
for our industry. Yes.
Early enough. I'm a little disappointed in myself that I haven't.
Give yourself some
grace.
You
need a moment. You need a
give yourself some grace. Yes.
Go easy on yourself. But that whole, the AI is just fascinating. Yes. I've gone to a couple conferences. And just like one takeaway, I thought it was still at like the theoretical stage right now.
Yeah, no.
And I go to this conference and this one lady from the association, she's like, "Oh yeah, I started using it 6 months ago." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, what's an outcome?" She said, "Well, we used to do 1 blog a week. And now we do 11.
Oh wow! That's interesting.
That's more.
But
than
now
10x,
she's got the
deal.
team, the bandwidth to do 11 because ChatGPT's helping.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I got to figure that one out. Check with me in a month.
Okay, we'll have you back. We'll have you back on the show.
Yeah.
What sessions were you able to attend while you were here? Or what sessions jumped out at you at WeCon?
Well, I love the Freestyle Plus guys, right? That did that.
Yes.
Their unkeynote.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that their message was fantastic. They were all fantastic performers. I think Vivek was like a hilarious MC. Really, really did it. So I just loved everything about their message.
Mm-hmm.
I also one of the ones that I really remember because it was so different is SEPI.
Yes.
Yeah. So I went to SEPI's somatic breathing. Session, and I think almost entered into a trance in the middle of that. So those are two that kind of stand out.
Love that. I love that. Nothing to do with meetings, but enriches you as a human and makes you better in the workforce. So I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Maybe as we kind of close out, we talk to people about why they should add Sonoma to their list of places to visit this year, and maybe some new things that are happening in the area. Also, kind of fill us in on some current things with Sonoma.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll mention 3 things. One, we always have to mention the airport, right? That's what I kind of led off with. So we do have an airport. It's so easy to get into. It's a little tiny one, easy in and out, and so that's a big thing I want to make sure everybody always knows about. The next one I'll say is probably like a lot of places, there were so many renovations and upgrades and build outs of things over COVID. Probably one of the biggest one is we also have a racetrack in Sonoma County.
Okay.
And they did a huge build out of their like event center so it can really scale like 1,500 people, which is a big event for Sonoma because we're not wine city, we're wine country, right? So it's country.
Yeah.
Sonoma is country. And then the last thing I'll mention again, it was very popular the last 3 years, but the wave still seems to be going is Sonoma County is really big in glamping destinations, right? Like we got like 7 or 8 glamping, and they can be anywhere on the scale from high glam, right? Side where you got your $150 terry cloth robe when you check into the tent, on the glammy side, or you can get more if you're down more into the amping. You can
amping.
You can be in the tent, and that type of thing. So those would be the 3 I'd mention.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your sponsorship here with us. Thank you for appearing on the show, and just can't wait to see you at your second WeCon next year.
All right, sounds great, guys. Thank you.
Keep in touch, friends for life.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with our final guest momentarily. Thank you.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop, mind fried to a crisp. Make an MC into a wide-eyed lunatic. In a minute, I'ma eat you. El profesor is in the house, let me teach you. I could defeat you with 2 hands tied and have you waking in the hospital like, who am I? And who are you? Who are they? What is this? You wouldn't believe how someone react to this shit. The mind slips, slipping, speaking in tongues. Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. 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 Sly ink, GVA, that's how we get it done. They claim to be who they ain't. Try to knock my hustle, they can't. I pull this burner out of my pain. They claim to be who they ain't. Chop them up. Chop them up where he stand.
Switch it up.
Chop him up where he stays.
Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our very last guest of the day. We've got Rachel Andoja, who's the senior meeting planner for ADS, Atlantic Diving Supply Corporation. This is her very, very first WeCon.
Okay.
Welcome, Rachel.
Thanks.
How has this been for you so far?
This has been such an amazing experience.
Okay.
I think you don't know what to expect until you get here. And I have met so many amazing people, and the ideas that I'm getting from everyone, it's not always something that I can implement, but I was like, oh, that's cool. I can do that. If I tweak it a little bit this way, it'll fit, but I need it to fit. And just hearing everyone's stories and connecting with different properties that could potentially be opportunities for me to visit with my team. Exciting.
I love that. Any specific ideas that jump out at you that you're like, I might be able to use this, or if not, I just love this idea?
Freestyle Plus. They were amazing, and I know that everyone has talked about them, but they have just been phenomenal. Thinking about, we always think that your check-in process is the most important. It sets the tone. So if you go to the registration desk and you don't have a great experience, you lose your customer instantly. And I think if you're thinking about a conference or a general session or a sales team doing a training, having them come in and kick off the energy, the vibe, everyone is so pumped and ready to go that it sets the tone and everyone is excited to walk in. Talking to a couple other people, they were talking about different ways of entering a meeting space, and if it's really elaborate in the way you walk through it, and that helps kind of lighten the mood. It was exciting. I loved your panel yesterday and talking to the different industry professionals to get ideas, and the collaboration that we were getting in the room was wonderful.
Speaking of Freestyle Plus, what inspired you to go on stage during that session?
Rach was on stage.
Yeah.
Stage.
I'm definitely not an introvert by any means.
Okay.
I don't typically volunteer for something, but I was a guest of Mandy's and I wanted to be like, you know what, I'm here. I'm going to just jump in. I'm going to do everything and try it and see how it works out. Thinking I'll raise my hand and somebody else will too. And then no one did. So on stage I went and it was great. And I think what's great about that is you need to take the chance, you need to take the opportunity, because from that moment, everyone knew who I was the rest of the time I was here. And so it really opened up the doors to having the conversations with everyone else because they already knew who I was.
They did.
So it was really cool.
You're coming to us from very far away. I'll go all the way across the country.
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach, Virginia, 757. What? Why would you come so far for a conference? Because usually most of our attendees are from Northern California, Southern California, and Vegas. You've come from probably the furthest.
Mandy, she and I had an amazing conversation about career growth. What do you want to learn? What do you want to do? And how can I help you? And I said, I can only learn what I'm seeing and in the small box that I'm in. And I would love to take my events to a new level. I can't reinvent the wheel, but I can make it shinier. So how do I do that? And that's from learning from other people. And so this opportunity came up and I hopped on a plane and here
you are. Awesome. Thank you, Mandy.
Yeah,
making that feel shiny.
I think we all learned a little bit from you along the way too. I think there's some reciprocity learning happening.
I think so. It's been really exciting.
Yeah.
I appreciate being here.
I want to ask, so I want to switch gears for a second because something that I think you do really well that you probably don't think you do really well because we're all such self-graders, right? But I think from the outside looking in, being a working parent, it's just really hard.
Yeah.
And you're a rock star at work, you're a rock star with your kids, and your husband's in the military. So he leaves, sometimes quickly, unexpectedly, and then comes back. So what are some strategies and tactics that you have in place for yourself that you can share with other working parents?
I think finding your people is always helpful. It's not always going to be your parents, but it will be your good friends. I also think it's your company. And I think that if your company is supportive and your coworkers are supportive, there are times where my husband is gone for months at a time and people are flexible and appreciative because they know I'm going to get it done. I might not be there right at 8, but I'll be there by 8:30 and I will work the whole time. I think it's about finding your people, finding your group. And also it's what you give is what you get. And when you are respectful and appreciative and understanding of your coworkers and your team, you get that in return. So planning, I mean, we do it. That's our job. So it's planning, making sure you have all the things you need. Snacks, of course, everyone needs snacks.
Back to the snacks.
Back to the snacks.
Yes.
But it really comes down to planning and thinking ahead and finding great people to encourage you and be there to help you when you need it.
It's great.
To continue that question, I believe it's Jesse, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we learned about Jesse when you were talking too. So you told us all about Jesse. What advice would you have for other working moms who maybe are a little bit wary of maybe working as a similar job to you, like planning events, having to travel, be on site? Like, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd probably be really good at it, but I have a family and I'm not sure how I would manage. What advice would you have for them?
I think you have to do what's right for you and your family, but also knowing what's right for you. And I think one of the things I always think about is I'm a great mom, I'm a great wife, but I'm a really great me too. And what's important is that as much as I give to them, I need to give that back to myself. And they're not always going to need me. So I need to put the things in place to do the job that I love, make sure that they're always taken care of and they're happy and they know that I love them, but it's okay that I'm going to be away for a couple of days. And I think it's important, especially for little girls, to see their moms take roles, take jobs outside of their home, be successful and happy with what that they do and getting up excited to go to work every day, because that helps our children want to do the same in their adult life.
Well said. Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I was sort of hoping you would ask her one of your favorite questions.
Okay, so
oh
we
my
can
God,
get to
you're
that.
chomping
Yes,
at the bit.
I love it.
He changed his whole body posture for this one.
Because people used to give me a hard time. Oh, you ask that question all the time. Stop it. But I say no. I'm going to ask it. So we'll do the first one. If we can go back to where you went to, what was the school in Providence that you went to college?
I went to the University of Rhode Island.
Okay, the Rams.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, see?
Everything.
We're going to go back to your walking down the graduation aisle at the University of Rhode Island. And you're going to give your younger Rachel advice based on what you know now. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, man. It's funny. My coworker and I talk about this a lot. We always think about future us and how what we're doing right now makes future us happy.
Yes.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is everything happens for a reason, and don't question the decisions you've made. They might seem silly or stupid or really bad choice in the moment, but you never know where that's going to take you. And I think about COVID and all of the different job opportunities I had and the furloughs and the back and the forth. And I had another person that I worked with very closely who said to me, one phone call can change your life. And so it really is about just accepting the moment, doing the best you can, working hard, get to the next step, but don't question it. It was meant to be is meant to be.
Okay.
So true.
Yes, so
One phone
true.
call
Can
could change your life.
change your life.
I want to go back really quick to advice that you would give other meeting planners and other experiential marketing people just like yourself right now doing what they're doing and everything that you've learned over the last couple years. Like, what are a couple pieces of advice you would give?
It is to ask for help and to take it. You do not have to do all the things by yourself. There is a team. There are people that know a lot. And I think we talked about this in your session yesterday that someone was saying, well, if my group is too small, should I still call you for help? And there's someone who can help you.
Right.
Always call, ask the questions. There's someone who's willing to jump in because it might seem small to you, but it could be a really big opportunity for that team to jump in and help. So always ask for help.
Build your army.
Build your army.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
Good. Now, what's the other one of my favorite questions that you want me to ask this time?
Books.
Oh, are you? Yes, because you have a long flight. So do you, reading? Is there any books you've read? It could be fiction or nonfiction,
Or reread,
that you people need to stop what they're doing right now and start to read them immediately. What books come to mind?
Oh gosh. Okay, so my company is hosting our really large Warrior East in June, and our guest speaker is Bill Belichick. And we are doing a fireside chat. He did not want to stand up and give a big speech, so it's just him and I.
Okay.
So I am rereading a book that I read in 2005 called The Education of a Coach.
Okay.
And it's about Bill Belichick, and I love it. It's great. Going to completely nerd out again on the way home, but I used to read it on the subway every day to work, so I'm rereading it.
Okay. Well,
Probably not what you expected,
I'm assuming you're a Patriots fan, right? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we'll go on to the next book then.
Oh, mommy. That wasn't good enough for you. You need another
What
book.
do you have another one? Maybe fiction or fiction? No, that's it.
My son train a dog right now.
Okay.
Puppy next
Okay.
week. Right now, like my only
That's a good
reading
one though.
is kid books.
That's good.
Or
That's
being
good.
read to by a 6-year-old.
Okay, that's a good book though. No disrespect. I'm just playing. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Sweet book.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's see here. We got time for maybe a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Where, when you look at your career, let's talk about future, Rachel. Where 5 years from now, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing?
I love working at ADS so much. And I think just growing there and building out our program and engaging more with our suppliers and customers. And how do I get there? And what do I do? And how do I keep them entertained? Because I got Bill Belichick. So what do I do next year?
You set the bar high.
Right.
Set the bar high.
So every year growing and learning and bringing in new people is just, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to grow there and see what's next. I truly love waking up every morning and going to work. And there have not been a lot of jobs that I felt that way about.
Okay, good. 5 years from now, good. What else, Betty? Yeah, still there?
Well, it's Mother's Day weekend.
Yes.
So what is going to happen for you Mother's Day weekend? What are some moments of Mother's Day past that have jumped out at you? I mean, I know your mom is still with you over the weekend and you've got a couple, you've got beautiful Ava and Jordan. I mean, what's going to happen this weekend and what do you hope to happen?
I don't know. I think I love seeing what they create, which is sweet because they are so thoughtful and I get sweet notes when I'm gone and for when I come home.
Okay.
I have a feeling that somebody bought me a plant. Somebody might have spilled the beans on someone else.
A plant. I love that. Okay.
I got a purple plant because purple is my favorite color.
Purple is a favorite. Good to know. Good to know.
I've been away for a long time, so I'm just really excited to go home and see everyone. It's been a long week.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, thank you. Let the people know how they can support you, how they can support your company and your business. Kind of what's the best way we can help?
ADSinc.com. Check out our events. And if you know people who are in the military or first responders, everything that ADS does is to support them. We want to make sure that everyone comes home from their mission.
Got it. Lovely. Well, thank you for being a guest with us here. Thank you for raising your hand yesterday and going on stage and starting us off with a bang. And we're excited that you came all the way across the country to yes. So we'll see you next year. And Any final words, Mandy?
Well, just thank you. In full disclosure, Rachel's a client of mine and a friend,
Yes.
and thanks for making time because she was in Tampa and now she's here. So this is a lot of planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yes.
So
Right.
thank you for being here.
for having
Thanks for being an awesome human being, and
you.
I
Thanks
just
for
love your
everything.
guts. Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thanks.
Cool. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to Adventures in WeCon Live. It's been a pleasure to provide this service and share some of our attendees and guest speakers with you. We're just excited about it. And we will see you again soon. Remember to reach out to Mandy or myself if you have questions. You want to get this added to your conference or event. We can do it. We've done it now, and it's not easy, but we can do it well. So that's what I'll say about that.
Amani's
Yes.
giving me the evil eye. He's like, you don't have to set up any equipment, man. Just a couple of signs and some brochures.
So yes.
This has been, I
Mhm.
think it's been fun.
Exactly.
And I'm excited to do it at your next conference or trade show floor, ballroom foyer. It's a great way to get sponsors more visibility. It's a great
Mhm.
way to engage your attendees who are at home without having to do a full blown hybrid meeting because those aren't super fun right now.
Right.
And tune into our Monday show every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Adventures in Business, which is the mothership of this show,
Yes.
is on LinkedIn Live. So join us there. We've got a actually great meeting planner client on Monday. Not my client. She's actually my mentor.
Mhm.
But we've got Julie
Okay.
Dunkel.
Yeah.
Will be on the show on Monday, and we've got a really great lineup through the rest of the summer. So we'll see you on LinkedIn or we'll see you somewhere else.
Awesome. So take care, everyone. Be safe. One moment.